You can't blot out of your life man's inhumanity to man. It's there, it's always with you, it's vulgar, it's violent, and it's frightening, and it's gut-wrenching, and it's all of those things you really don't need in your life. And a war's a bit like I suppose, a bit like a motor vehicle accident. You have the same thing. You have the violence of the crash of the vehicles, and then you have the violence and the vulgarity of people being severely injured. The difference is that being in a war is a bit like being in a car crash on a daily basis, and it's not the most pleasant experience. I remember that day vividly, and it was filled with interest, excitement and remorse. All those emotions probably went through everybody's head. What have I let myself in for? Why am I doing this? Surely you can find something better to do with your life than getting on a ship and heading off to war. Well, it's too late now if you can find something better to do with your life. We loaded on trucks and we start the drive out to Nui Dat, which was the operational base. And on the way out there was a child who let off a firecracker near one of the trucks. And it was almost a disaster for the child. It was unexpected. We thought we were under fire. It was only a single bang, but it was close enough to the vehicle to tell where it came from. And in a split second, you didn't know whether somebody had a handgun. It caused a great deal of alertness, and the child was almost shot. I guess it got serious from that point on. Patrols were generally of 10 days duration, so we'd be out in the bush for 10 days, and then we'd come back in again, stinking to merry hell. Nobody had bathed for 10 days, and nobody had had a change of clothes for 10 days, and that was mostly on foot. And you'd be out in the jungle, and you might make 1 kilometre a day through the jungle. Most of the jungle you'd have to cut your way through it. What would you be looking for? Well, you'd be looking basically for enemy tracks regularly or freshly used. And 8 Battalion was known as the ambush battalion, other than the Brisbane battalion. And it would set up ambush positions along tracks or track junctions, and you just lay there for days waiting for somebody to come down the track, which may be a courier, someone carrying money for the Viet Cong, or somebody carrying weapons, or them just doing their patrols. And you'd wait for them to come in your ambush position, and then the mines would go off, and Claymore mines, and the troops would open fire on them. Or you'd be looking for bunker systems. You get reports of underground bunker systems, and you go and find the bunker systems and then get the engineers to come in, and engineers would go down there to see if they were live or occupied, and that was a seriously dangerous job. An opportunity arose to go and do aeromedical evacuation training with the US Army, which was totally different from everything I'd done before. And it was just a mobile ambulance. That's what we were. No weapons on the aircraft at all. Well, had our own sidearms but there were no guns hanging off the side of the helicopters. They had red crosses on them. Well, it does, but doesn't mean anything in an unconventional war. The aircraft got shot at didn't make any difference. They were an enemy aircraft no matter what they were doing. A helicopter's a huge target and easy to hit and easy to disable. And so are its crew. So yeah, somebody on the ground, you need to get in, you need to get out quickly. Otherwise, you've created another situation. They've not just got a contact on the ground, but then they've got an aircraft down, and they still haven't got rid of their casualties. Wasn't frightening at all. The frightening part was always afterwards, never before and never during. Afterwards you'd sort of fall in a heap sometimes, but while you're doing it, no, you don't have time to think about that. It's too important. This is about staying alive and doing the job and getting the job done and getting back to base. Pure adrenaline.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done crazy things. American pilots were brilliantly trained pilots. They were just so good. It was always a collective effort to go in. I guess everybody's life was at risk, and it really, there was this unwritten law, I suppose, that no one person is entitled to take entire responsibility for everybody else. Even though you had a crew commander, it was a collective effort. But there was a very interesting convention in 45th Medical Company Air Ambulance, which was the American unit I served with, and the convention was, if you were short, and short means if you had 30 days or less to go in country, you called the shots. So if you were due to return home and you were going into a hot landing zone where there was a firefight going on, then you could make the call that we don't go in until it's cleared or it's settled down. And that was just a convention that they had in the unit, and I had the pleasure of making that call on a couple of occasions when I was less than 30 days to go in country. Well, yeah, the most unpleasant thing about that was I'd only been back in Adelaide a few days, and I was unfortunate enough to be driving along behind a car that had struck a young girl that had run out in front of a bus. So, yeah, there was just no escape from it. She'd said to her mother, I'll go and put the kettle on, Mum, apparently, and got off the bus and ran in front of the bus and run straight in front of a car. And she had serious crush fractures of the chest, and I tried to resuscitate her, but it was limited in what I could do. I knew she was gone, but I still kept giving her mouth to mouth, waiting for the ambulance to arrive, which seemed to take forever. And then when the ambo came over, I just said to him, look, she's gone. And unfortunately, I said it in a whispered voice, but the mother still heard me. So that made it even worse.
Heartbreaking.